Hey guys, you are talking with Reed, where I come to talk to you about what I have either read in the blogs, watched on TV, or heard in these streets. Today is about what I have watched on TV. We are talking about 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way, Season 4, Episode 1 and 2. So this is a brand new season, brand new cast, which I am loving. They are introducing us to new people. So we will be keeping a record of this. Now, sometimes I may do one or two episodes in one video, to shorten down on time, especially if there's not too much going on, so we don't just waste each other's time. So this, as I said, we are just speaking about the introduction of the couples. Now, there's 6 couples on this season. However, so far we've only been introduced to 5. I thought that we would have been introduced to all 6 by episode 2, but for whatever reason, we are only introduced to 5. So let's get through these couples. So let's start off with Gabriel and Isabel. So Gabriel is from California, if I believe. He is transgender male. And then his beloved soon-to-be wife is Isabel from Colombia. So they seem to have like one of the most authentic relationships thus far. Like Isabel has already said that, he's one of the best relationships that she's been in after a string of bad relationships that she's brought around her children. She's a young parent. She's 34, started, her first child was conceived at 17, I believe. So she is just sick of introducing bad men around. She gets with Gabriel, falls head over heels in love with him. And he finally confesses to her that, hey, before I show you my Instagram, just want to tell you that, I'm trans and I just want to be completely open and honest with you. So she was at first taken back because she was just like, man, like everything about him just gives me male. But she couldn't understand why. But he's been on hormone therapy as well as he has had the surgery, the sexual orientation surgery. So, it's not something that you're just going to see right away, right? But regardless, she loves him. Her children love him. The youngest one, which is a young boy, probably like around the age of 10, I believe. She hasn't told him yet because she's not sure if that's the proper age too. But her daughter that's 17, who seems to be very mature for her age and seems to be very well raised. And she loves them. She's like, you know what? I don't care. So their only hiccup is introducing him to the parents as a transgender male. But so far, they seem to be the most level-headed. I know we're only on episode 2. But in comparison to the 5 couples that we've met, I can see this one being a little bit long-standing. So we move on. Let's get to Nicole and Mahmoud. Nicole is from Idaho, but lives in LA. She went to fashion school. She has her own consignment shop. And she does, I believe, like Uber Eats or something, some food delivery on the side. She is with Mahmoud, who is from Egypt. And slightly young, well, a lot younger. I think he's 26, she's 38. But regardless, she went out there to Egypt while traveling on vacation. She meets him. And they get married shortly afterwards, where she told no one. She had no support there. And they just marry. Do I think that Mahmoud could be using her to get to America? Absolutely. But, in the meantime, she likes it. She says she tried living in Egypt for a little bit of time, about a couple of months. Then she realized she could not do it. Why? Well, because they are from 2 different backgrounds. Mahmoud is a traditional Muslim, comes from a very conservative background where, the women are covered from head to toe. So he wants her to be fully covered. And she, as an American woman who is more of a spiritual, she considers herself, not belonging to a particular religion, it's just like, yeah, I'm a little bit more freer with her way of beliefs and her way of dressing, especially with her being a former or an aspiring fashion designer. So that's their hiccups, right? Here's the thing. Now, when she was living in Egypt, I can understand him being like, you know what? I want you to dress more conservative because, yeah, you're in a majority Muslim country. However, she's back in America and he is even through FaceTime and Zoom calls like, yeah, what are you wearing type of ordeal. That's not the way I want my wife to dress. Now, that is where I'm just like, okay, Mahmoud, chill out. One, because You knew good and well that you didn't just marry you a woman that's not even Muslim. You married you an American woman on top of that. And, well, an American woman that's not Muslim. And, you should have grabbed you a Muslim woman from your country. He doesn't want her talking to any of the males, including the males in her family. Why? Outside of her father, let me not say not talking to. He doesn't want her embracing, like physical embrace to any other males, including the males in her family, because in Egypt, it is common that they are marrying males from their family. Like, it's very common that someone will be married to their first cousin. So yeah, you can't be out here embracing your cousin, right? Okay. Have no clue why he chose to marry her. But of course, I know the clue is because he's trying to get to America. You cannot convince me otherwise. So we'll see how that comes up. We move on. Let's get to Chris and Jamie. So Chris is from Alabama. She is from a small rural town in Alabama, a very conservative environment. And she has been married multiple times, she says. And she has maintained that her relationship has not worked because deep down inside, she's always known that she was a lesbian. However, her environment, and especially earlier times, because Chris is in her 40s, earlier times did not allow her to embrace her sexuality. So she hid it, and this is why her relationships have not worked. Well, now she is embracing her sexuality loud and proud. And she has joined a LGBTQ website where she met Venezuela, but lives in Colombia. I believe she lives in Colombia as well. Yeah, I think it's Colombia. Girl named Jamie, right? Okay. So Jamie, not necessarily the same thing, but she's always known that she was a lesbian as well, just not wanting to deal with a man. And they have fallen for one another. Now, they thought that they were like in this relationship, falling in love, but Chris has disappeared on Jamie, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Here's the thing. If we are in a long distance relationship or whatever it is that we're trying to establish, you disappear on me once, we are no longer in that relationship, let alone 3 times. So regardless, she disappears on her and, so Jamie starts to entertain another woman from Texas who I think the woman came and met up in her town, like in Columbia. And, they had a little bit of fun. And then out of nowhere, Chris decides to reappear. So she let go of the woman from Texas. So now they had this hiccup where it was like, infidelity. And, Jamie is just like, well, you disappeared on me. So what did you expect for me to do? Like my grandmother died, this and that. And my mindset is, girl, I'm not much about to use the deceased family members or any of that. Baby girl, you ran away from me and we are long distance. We are living thousands of miles apart. Okay, thousands of miles apart. We are in 2 different continents, let alone cities, let alone states. We're in 2 different continents, 2 different countries. Okay. So with that being said, you disappear once, yeah, but 3 times, yeah, I'm back on that dating site and we're no longer together. And at that point, we are friends. So whoever I end up with, you do not get to question me. Things start right back over the moment that you reappear if I choose to. But you're not questioning me on what I've done when you've disappeared on me. Girl, bye. Okay, because you clearly didn't take this relationship as serious. But instead, Jamie decides to own her quote unquote infidelity. And now they're back on the good foot. And Chris is going to be moving from Alabama to Columbia to be with Jamie. So that's them. We move on. Jen and Rishi. So Rishi is a model from India, okay, who thinks that he has great hair, even though I'm looking at it and it's super thin. I don't see the greatness of it. But he's like, yeah, he has like the best hair in his town. I don't see it. Like, I just don't see it. But okay, sure, whatever. So he meets Jen. And Jen is from Oklahoma, an older woman as well. And, I don't know what it is with these couples that are just disappearing. But here's the thing with Jen and Rishi. Rishi's not even told his family that him and Jen are engaged, let alone together. Okay? Rishi has also disappeared on Jen a couple of times as well. Now, mind you, they got quote unquote engaged after a month of being together. Rishi's another person that is trying to make it to America. You can't convince me otherwise. He probably feels like, you know what, his modeling career would be a lot further along in America. You just can't convince me otherwise, right? So Jen has already had like a string of bad relationships in the past where her girlfriends had tried to warn her about it and she didn't listen, and it put a strain on their relationship. Here's my things when it comes to friendship. Y'all gotta know you can give your opinion if it's asked for, but you leave it at that. There's no reason why your friendships should be strained over somebody else's relationship. Like, I'm never that involved. I mean, well, I'm lying. I used to be super involved, like in my teenage years, early 20s, when I didn't know any better. I'm a grown woman now. There is no way that any of my friends are in a relationship with a guy that I quote unquote don't approve of. Who am I to approve or disapprove of? That's number one. But that's someone that I think my friend can do better, and I'm putting more of my emotions into their relationship than they are. That's crazy. The only time that I would do something where I'm putting in more emotions is if my friend was in a domestic violence relationship, right? That's the time where I'm like, okay, girl, no, we're not doing this. No, I want you alive in here. But anything outside of that, like if she wants to be foolish enough of a man disappearing in a whole other country and all these things, girl, that's on you. Like, that ain't got nothing to do with me. If that's your relationship. I'm just gonna be here for the shoulder that you need and a listening ear, and that's it. Okay, so that was a little bit odd to me. But speaking of said friends, she then sends her friends to go and try to bait Reach in a sting of if he is interested or talking to other girls. So her friend reaches out to him. He didn't take the bait. Like, it was very obvious he didn't take the bait. He was like, where do I know you from? Where are you from? Okay, London. Boom. He immediately stops responding, right? He just wasn't interested. So her friend was just like, well, why is he asking me where he knows me from? Can't you see it? Can't you see it? Girl, no, she can't see it, or neither can I, not at least in that conversation. Like, there was nothing that was done there for her to be like, ooh, I got you now. No. However, do I think that Reach is using her? Absolutely. I don't know what it is with these people that are disappearing. But yeah, he is definitely using her. And the fact that no one in his family even remotely knows of her is just like, what? Like, I don't even think that he thought that this relationship would go this far, to be honest with you. It's just super weird there. Okay, we move on. Let's get to the meat and the potatoes. We are talking about Danielle and Johan. So Danielle and Johan, they were introduced to us on a previous series that was still connected to 90 Day Fiancé. It's 90 Day Fiancé. Sorry. Paradise. Sorry, guys. Paradise and Love, something like that. Lovers Paradise, something like that. I didn't watch the show, but from what I was made to understand of it, they've been on that. Like, I've gotten the gist of them from that show. The gist of it is that, one, Johan is practically living off of Danielle. This is another couple. Once again, do I think that he is using her to come to the U.S. and to better his life? Abso-freaking-lutely. But I think that Danielle recognizes that, right? So here's my thing. This is a matter where they have made agreements on what their plans were, right? Now, Danielle is like, I think he may be using me. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I don't plan to continue living in New York. I want to live in Dominican Republic. No, you don't, Danielle. You don't want to live in Dominican Republic. You just realize that is your way on this show, is with you staying in Dominican Republic because you still want to remain on TV. You know good and well you have no plans of being with this man long term. Here's the reason why you never filed for his visa. So you're trying to convince him that, and it's very manipulative of her because even though you feel like he may be using you, your friends feel that way and so forth, then why stay with him? Right? Why stay with him? Just go on about your business and move around. But you're staying with him because it keeps you on this show. You cannot convince me that you want to leave America to go to the Dominican Republic and you don't even know where you have no long-term income of where your finances will come from. Okay? You're saying that, New York is expensive, which of course everyone in America knows it's like one of the most expensive states. And, like Dominican Republic is cheaper. Here's the thing though, Danielle, there's 49 other states in America. There are tons of states that you can live in that is way cheaper. Common sense, why didn't you think of that? Instead, no, I'm going to live in the Dominican Republic. And she doesn't tell him that until she's out there where she's just like, hey, you know what? I'd rather live out here. I don't want to live out there. But notice how she never mentions to him, hey, I never filed for your visa. Because Danielle, even if you wanted to give this a try temporarily, like, well, let's just try Dominican Republic for a little bit. And if we don't like it, we can come back to America. You can still be getting the paperwork completed for his visa, but you haven't even started it, which tells me that you have no plans of being with this person long term at all. Like, he doesn't even know that you haven't started it. Do I think that Johan is using Danielle as well? The fact that she pays for everything, his income is very small. We see of that through this episode, but I still feel like Danielle is being manipulated. But let's continue on. So in this episode, we see that Johan has introduced Danielle to his business, which is a meat business. And he brings her to the business. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was grossed out as well. They just had the meat just laid out on the table, not cold or anything. There's flies flying around it. And she goes on and she's puked out as well. And she's like, listen, this is why I'm always sick. And I'm sick because of things like this, like you got flies around it, like it's bacteria, like this is why I'm always sick whenever I eat meat. Yes, you're always sick whenever you eat meat, but yet you want to move to the Dominican Republic. Make it make sense, where you can't even eat the way that you're used to eating, Danielle. Okay, so he's annoyed with her, rightfully so, because she's just like, listen, this is how you do your business. This is of this. And she's more so talking down on him like a scolding, like a parent-child relationship, and not necessarily like a partner. So she's making him feel small, right? And I can clearly see that. And she's just like, well, this is how it's done. You need a spreadsheet. You need of this. You need of that. Danielle, you clearly are not aware of how things are done in other countries. In a lot of other countries, you'll see, like if you've done any type of traveling, you'll see where, they'll have poultry laid out, they'll have vegetables laid out, whatever the case may be, right? Now, is his extremely unsanitary? Very, even to me, right? Like I was just like, oh my God, this is insane. However, there's a way to go about speaking to your partner without it sounding like scolding, without it sounding demeaning. And Danielle has clearly not gotten that point of things. She definitely handles him like a child. And so she's just like, yeah, how did you even get the money for this business? Because you only make half of this money that is required to even get the meat from the hotel in a week. You make half of that. So how is it that you've paid double for the meat here? Like, where is this money coming from? Danielle, I'll tell you where the money is coming from. The money technically is coming from your behind, okay? You're the one that's been taking care of him to where he is not needed to spend his own money, to where he's been the one that's been able to just put his money in his pocket and save. So that is where, but of course he doesn't want to say that, because then at that point you're going to feel like a sugar mama. But technically, that's where that money has come from, baby girl. So we'll learn more about that. But Yeah, I just don't believe Danielle. I don't believe Danielle. I don't believe any of these couples will be long term. I can see Gabriel and Isabel, of course, but as far as Chris and Jamie, like, I don't know. There's something about Jamie. I'm sorry, not Jamie. Chris, the one from Alabama, that just gives me like, I got my eye on you, girl. Jen and Rishi, he's definitely using her. Nicole and Mahmoud is definitely using her. Of course, we know Danielle and Johan. He definitely is trying to get to the Dominican Republic in order to better his family. And that's another thing is that he speaks about wanting to not just better himself, but better his family. And she's just like, well, where are you going to get work at? And you can barely speak English, this and that, all of these types of things. And it's like, what she doesn't realize is that, just as she said, if he is making about $300 US dollars, pay, I think it's like what, a week or maybe a month, like whatever the salary is, even without him speaking English and him doing very much blue collar work, which there's a lot of blue collar jobs where his English may be off, it would still be more than what he is making in Dominican Republic, allowing him to assist his family. And he's just like, listen, like, Danielle has only been out here on vacation. She's not going to get the real Dominican Republic until she moves out here. And she's starting to see that with the meat place. So we'll look to see how that goes. Can't wait to hear from you guys. Leave your comments below. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Come back for more. We are definitely going to be reviewing this season, all season. We'll be here all season. So come back for more, and I look forward to hearing from you guys shortly. Bye, guys.